In the preface of the book, Davis recounts a pivotal conversation with a colleague ahead of a disability session they were planning for the Marxist Scholars Conference in New York back in 1994. Reflecting on the noticeable preference for sessions focusing on culturally engaged topics like literature or the body at professional gatherings, Davis's colleague offered a sobering insight. People don't come to sessions on disability. They think it is a specialized area and only the disabled come. This observation challenged assumptions about disability and underscored a critical point central to Davis's argument. The concept of disability isn't confined to those with impairments, rather, it permeates societal norms and perceptions, regulating the bodies of what are considered normal individuals. Davis elucidates this idea by delineating disability's manifestation through two primary modalities: function and appearance. In the functional realm, disability is often framed as the inability to perform certain tasks: walking, speaking, hearing, seeing, among others. However, Davis astutely notes the continuum of human capabilities and limitations, illustrating that while some deficiencies may not be perceived as disabilities in the conventional sense, such as struggles with mathematical functions, others, like difficulty walking due to a prosthetic limb or a club foot, are unequivocally labeled as disabilities. Thus, the construction of disability rests on the deconstruction of this continuum, highlighting society's tendency to categorize and label individuals based on perceived deviations from the norm. Moreover, Davis delves into the power dynamics inherent in the perception of disability, elucidating how the gaze of the normal population serves to visually define and confine those with disabilities. This gaze, laden with complex emotions ranging from horror to pity, serves not only to observe, but also to control and limit the autonomy of disabled individuals, perpetuating societal attitudes and norms that marginalize and exclude. In essence, disability becomes a spectacle, subject to societal scrutiny and judgment, reinforcing entrenched power dynamics and attitudes towards difference. Davis delves deeply into the multifaceted dimensions of disability, meticulously dissecting its manifestations through the lenses of function and appearance. Drawing from the insights of historians Theodore M. Porter and Daniel J. Keevils, Davis embarks on a critical examination of the origins and implications of the functional modality of disability in Chapter 2, aptly titled Constructing Normalcy. Here, he traces the roots of this modality to the rise of statistical thinking in the 19th century, spearheaded by figures like Adolf Quetelet, whose endeavors to quantify human differences inadvertently privileged the concept of the normal man. This statistical movement, driven by moralizing and normalizing agendas, laid the groundwork for a society where deviations from the norm were stigmatized and marginalized. In Chapter 6, titled Visualizing the Disabled Body, the classical nude and the fragmented torso, Davis shifts his focus to the modality of appearance, drawing on examples from psychology and art history, to illuminate the ways in which culture shapes perceptions of bodily integrity. He astutely observes that one of culture's primary functions is to cleave consciousness into dichotomous categories of good and bad, necessitating a splitting of the body along this axis to maintain a semblance of wholeness. These divisions, influenced by concrete social forces such as industrial production demands and the commodification of attractiveness, perpetuate societal norms that valorize certain bodily forms while marginalizing others. While Davis predominantly examines physical disabilities, he acknowledges the historical perception of mental illness as a fragmentation of the body's means of communication, reflective of the broader societal fragmentation of modernity. Drawing from personal experience as a child of deaf parents, Davis brings a nuanced understanding to the distinctions between the deaf community, and moments of deafened experiences that punctuate everyday life. He unpacks the historical evolution of perceptions surrounding deafness, tracing its transition from a topic of intense academic debate during the Enlightenment to a cultural icon in the 18th century. Additionally, Davis explores the medicalization and professional scrutiny faced by the deaf as a linguistic minority group during the imperialistic 19th and early 20th centuries, highlighting the intersection of power dynamics and identity formation. In Chapter 4, Nationalism and Deafness, Davis delves into the eugenic campaigns of figures like Alexander Graham Bell, who sought to prevent the procreation of the deaf, and Franklin Delano Roosevelt's efforts to conceal his physical impairments resulting from polio. These examples underscore the intertwined nature of race, nation, and physical identity, revealing how the enabled body becomes a symbol of national pride and identity. Through meticulous historical analysis and personal insights, Davis navigates the complex terrain of disability, shedding light on its societal construction and the enduring power dynamics that shape perceptions of difference. Davis provocatively challenges the assumption of normality embedded within the very information systems utilized by critical theorists. While progressive intellectuals have addressed issues like racism, sexism, and class bias, Davis argues that their practices of reading, writing, and thinking remain steeped in assumptions about ability and disability. In Chapter 5, Deafness and Insight, Disability and Theory, Davis revisits debates from literary criticism, rejecting the false dichotomy between the written and spoken word. Instead, he positions sign language as an intermediary, challenging the historical construction of this dualism, and emphasizing the need to recognize the history and geography of the senses. Davis's Enforcing Normalcy offers a rich tapestry of insights. The book serves as a vital resource for teachers in gender/women's studies, ethnic/race studies, and multicultural courses, facilitating the inclusion of a mature disability perspective into curricula. While Davis's conjectures, such as the notion of Europe going deaf during the 18th century, may await further historical documentation, the book presents a compelling argument for understanding the origins and enduring influence of Western standards of bodily normality. Minor critiques aside, Enforcing Normalcy is a recommended read for anyone seeking to unravel the complexities of societal perceptions of disability and the power dynamics that underpin them.